All right, so today's topic is, here we go, labeling the negatives diffuses the negatives. Okay, I learned this from Chris Voss from the book Never Split the Difference, and also from a lot of his videos. So these are quite amazing. Actually, you should definitely read the book, and if you haven't, or watch his videos because they're next notch. So he's an FBI negotiator who negotiates with hostages, people who are gonna die, basically. So it's pretty good. So in many conversations where you're talking about something, whether it's a sales negotiation or even you're having a heated discussion or even an argument with someone you know or someone you love, a family member, a spouse, your partner, the conversation would escalate. Things might go south for various other reasons. So it could be that you start talking about something and the other person gets really upset at you, but it's not acknowledged, and then things just escalate. So what this principle means is if you talk about it, acknowledge it beforehand, the negatives, okay, you label it, you can diffuse it before it happens. And that's what's really cool about this theory. An example would be when a doctor tells you, do you have time to sit down? There's some very big news I need to tell you. Okay, so brace yourself, right? So now you have the negatives. So you're already bracing yourself for the negative emotions that are coming. So this is a variation of this, but there are many variations that this can come from. The reason that these kind of things work is when you talk about these negative emotions, it makes you more aware of it, and also it calls it out, and it's less likely to escalate. So this is one of the reasons that it works so well. Chris Voss mentions in one of his videos, says that if you ask somebody, how they're feeling, and then if they say, hey, I'm not feeling really well, then now you're acknowledging emotion, right? And that's out in the air, and it's no longer hidden. And so more often than not, when it's out there and then it's more aware, then it's not as bad. So if someone tells you that they're not feeling that well, now you know how to behave, but also they're more aware of how they're feeling. So this is quite a powerful tool, just using everyday communication, but also it can be applied in terms of an argument. So Chris Voss was saying that when they say it, it goes away faster. The feeling goes away faster, and it doesn't stay with you, which is really cool. So one thing you can do is you label it beforehand. So another way that Chris Voss recommends is called a technique called labeling itself, which is super powerful, which is, it seems like, you were upset. Then now you're labeling it ahead of time, and then they could say, oh, I am actually upset. Yeah, you're right. And this can really make a big difference in terms of, acknowledging what the other person is feeling. So more often than not, if you acknowledge it beforehand, it could also neutralize it. So another technique that Chris Voss likes to use is the accusation audit, which is before you go into the room, before you go into negotiation or a deal or even an argument, you say all the things that someone could say negative about you beforehand. Then they got nothing to say because you're calling it out. He gave an example of how this can be used in a hotel reservation, where they go in and he goes to the front desk and says, I'm about to make your life extremely difficult, and you're going to think I'm the most stuck-up person ever. And the last thing you want to do is listen to a request from somebody that you don't even know. And then pause. And then the front desk of the hotel will be like, what is it? So they're bracing themselves for the negativity, before it even happened. And more often than not, though, sometimes it's not as bad. And then Chris Voss will say, how difficult would it be to extend my checkout hours? and then this works super well. So this is just an example of it in action, but there are many examples that work really well. In the negotiation table, or even getting a job, right? Asking for a raise, you can do that. You can go to your boss and say, "Hey, boss, you're gonna hate this. You're gonna think that I'm just a stuck-up person and I just want to get more money out of you. You're gonna think that this guy who doesn't deserve everything is now even wanting even more. And then blah, 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 blah. You say these things, you brace yourself, you call out the negatives, and then you wait for them to say, what is it? And then you go back to them, and then you say, can I get I'd like a raise, right? Then this will make a huge difference. And more often than not, if you ask for a raise out of the blue, hey, boss, I want more money, they're going to think you're stuck up. But if you say it beforehand, you're going to think I'm stuck up, and I'm just wanting more. and then you ask for more money, but if you say it nicely, of course, you say it more empathetically, then more often than not, they're not going to be like that, and they might give you a break. So this is just a little technique to try, but labeling the negatives diffuses it ahead of time. And when it comes to an outcome or making a deal, the negatives are 9 times more important than the positives. And usually the negatives are 9 times more likely to stop you from getting a deal or getting what you want. So you want to get those out in the air as soon as possible. And what better way than to label it, And so this is just one way. You call it out and you can get the outcome that you want. So question for you is, think about the last time you had an alteration, an argument with somebody, or last time you want something from somebody as well. And think of all the negativities that have happened. So now think about, how can you label it ahead of time, call it out, before it escalates? And how could you do that next time that it's going to happen? If the same situation happened, what would you do to label the negatives beforehand to get the other person to be aware of what's going on and then improve your communications? So that's the tip for today. So I hope you liked it. Thank you. Hey, I'm David G, a business, marketing, and personal development enthusiast. I'm a husband, father of not 1, but 2 cats, and most importantly, a human being. So I'm doing these sessions because if what I share can help just one person make a positive impact on their lives, no matter how small it may be, it will be the most satisfying thing in the world for me. So usually I'll try to share just one piece of practical knowledge that I learned from someone else way smarter than me. So I'll try to talk about it a little bit, and I hope that it can help you in one way or another. So if you like the video, please smash the like button and subscribe. Otherwise, if you have any questions or want to share your experience about the topic as well, feel free to post them in the comments as well. After all, the more you engage in the content, the better you will learn yourself.